How long should I be practicing when it comes to learning how to sing? So, in today's episode, we are going to be tackling this because you might be thinking, am I practicing too much? Am I practicing too little? Am I hurting my voice? Am I not seeing enough progress? Or am I not maximizing the amount of progress with the work that I'm getting? We're going to be tackling all of that in today. In fact, I'm going to be sharing 3 very simple cues to be looking out for to give you a bit of a guideline on how much you should be practicing. And so before we jump into the 3 signs, the 3 cues, one thing I want to quickly pre-frame is this. When it comes to practicing, when it comes to learning how to sing right, consistency is going to be king here. Consistency is always going to be king here. So if you're able to practice consistently, no matter what that looks like, that's already a win. That's honestly already a win. So a quick question for yourself, even as you're listening to this episode, is what is a amount of practice that I can consistently be putting in day after day? Because that will automatically be the fuel of your growth when it comes to learning how to sing. So the first thing that I would like to share with you is how long can you even focus for? Right? How long can you even focus for? Because one of the misconceptions when it comes to learning how to sing, or even when it comes to practice, like all musicians will know this, we think that results will come from time, which means the longer I practice, the better I will get. And it seems really obvious, the more I practice, the more I will get better. But I would actually argue here that that is actually not true. What is actually helping you improve and what is actually getting you better is actually your focus, right? The more focus and the more energy you apply to a certain activity, the more you'll get better, the faster you get better. Getting you better at singing is actually a matter of how many focus sessions or how many focus moments can you have on deliberately getting better. I'm always raving on and on about deliberate practice because, when I first started learning how to sing, I just think, if I just practice, 4 or 5 hours each day, I will get better. But the thing that was really underlying the improvements that I was making is it's more about how much focus I was having. Did I have a goal in mind when I was practicing? Was I trying to challenge myself? And was I present? Was I actually present when I came to practicing? Or was I thinking about something else or on my phone? These are the things that actually get you better. So when it comes to how long should you even be practicing, the first question I would be asking yourself is, how long can I focus for? If it's 15 minutes, then why don't you start with a 15-minute practice session? If it's less than that, if it's only 5 minutes, okay, why don't we try start off with a 5-minute practice session? The other way you can also see it is you can also break up your practice sessions into amounts where you can actually stay focused. Right? There is a very popular technique called the Pomodoro technique, which is basically you break your workflow into small chunks. And so start here with this question, which is how long can I focus for? Now, before we jump into number 2, if you're enjoying this episode, make sure to hit that subscribe and follow button. On this channel, we're here to help you demystify and break down learning how to sing. Because let's face it, learning how to sing can feel confusing. And I want to make this process as easy and as simple as possible for you. So hit that subscribe and hit that follow wherever you're listening from. We release episodes every single Friday to help you get to that place that you want with your singing. Now, number 2, what is your outcome? And I think this is really important to discuss because often I find for a lot of my students when they first come work with me is that they find that they have to be practicing endless amounts of hours in order to see progress. But the thing that I would love to share with you is that simply is not true, right? It really depends on what the outcome is. Because say if you're trying to get better, trying to improve your voice to a point where you're able to sing karaoke or to the point where you're able to sing in front of your friends and family, that does not have to take a lot of time. It does take focus, which is where, question number 1 comes in. But honestly, it takes short, consistent practice sessions that are designed to help you get better. And so you want to be matching your work ethic to your outcome, right? Now, obviously the counter argument is also true. If you're trying to go professional, if you really want to be making this your passion, your dream, your full-time kind of thing, then the work ethic is going to have to be different, right? For me personally, there's somewhere I'm trying to go with my singing. And this is a big reason why I blocked off, 3 30-minute sessions every single day to be working on my craft. But this is not about comparison. This is about understanding what is your personal outcome, what are you personally working towards, and then matching your work ethic towards that. So question number 2 for you is, what is your outcome? What exactly are you working towards? Write it down, be able to articulate it, and then you want to design your practice sessions with that. Don't feel guilty for not doing countless hour sessions. That's completely fine. But also make sure you're not underselling yourself, right? If you need to be doing at least 15 minutes per day, go write that down, block it off your calendar, and actually go and execute that. Now, when it also comes to figuring out how long should we be practicing, question number 3 is really understanding what is your lifestyle like? Because the reality is this: we're all different. We all have different lives. We have different jobs. We've got different commitments. Where does singing lie as a priority, right? And do you have a very kind of regular schedule, or is your schedule a bit more erratic? I think learning how to understand this and just build some self-awareness of where you are currently at with your lifestyle, this is a great way to figure out how long you should be practicing. For example, I've got some clients who are always flying in and out of different countries. They're attending different conferences. And so for them, one of the biggest challenges is finding a very consistent time to practice, finding a consistent place where they can practice and actually make improvements. And so how we tackle this challenge together as a team is we focus on shorter practice sessions, 5 to 10 minute routines that they could complete, but also developing routines that, could be done at any time during the day, in the morning, maybe in the shower, maybe in the afternoon, maybe sometimes at night. But having this flexibility that allowed them to fit their lifestyle, this all of a sudden became a lot easier to consistently practice. Because remember, the most important question to answer is, what can you consistently do? What can you consistently commit to? And if 5 minutes in the morning in the shower is what you can do, then that is where we will start. Because I find that when you remove that friction, all of a sudden you actually go and do the work. And so really question number 3 you got to be asking yourself is, what is my lifestyle, and what is a practice or an amount of time that I can put in that doesn't introduce a lot of friction into my lifestyle? When you can find that, then that is going to be a great place to get started. Now, the last one, and question number 4, some of you paying attention to this episode might actually be thinking, what if I'm already practicing, Ivan? You've mentioned all these things, but this seems to be targeted at someone who can't make time. Now, what if I'm someone who's actually already practicing a lot? And in fact, I'm actually worried that I'm practicing too much. How long should I be practicing? If that is you, first of all, congratulations. Like a boss, you're practicing consistently. I love that. Really what you're looking for here in that case is, number 1, how long can you focus for? Focus is going to be an important thing here, right? But a little secondary thing is, how long can you be practicing for without feeling, hoarse, without feeling, tired, without feeling you have to continuously push more and more throughout the session? Because if you pay attention to a bit of your practicing, you'll notice that, on average, when you're singing, maybe the first 10 minutes, you're kind of warming up. The next kind of 20, 30 minutes, you're actually feeling good. You're kind of in the pocket. But after a certain point, you'll notice things feel harder to do. You feel like you might have to push a bit more air to get to a certain place. You might also feel like your voice is a bit more dry, maybe a bit more hoarse, right? Feeling a bit more hoarse. That is a sign that you want to at least take a break, right? Take a 5-minute break, or, that could be a great place to finish off the session and come back tomorrow. Because that is more of a sign that your vocal folds, they're probably a bit more inflamed now. You've been using them a bit more. Maybe some of the muscles around them are getting a bit tight. You want to give your body that time to recover and get better. And so that when you come back the next session, you can keep challenging those limits and getting even better. And this is going to honestly vary. I've had students who have practiced, 3 hours on end, and they don't feel a single thing. They've just got vocal folds still. Whereas I've got some other students who maybe they practice for 15 minutes, maybe they're just starting off and their voice just feels so tired. It feels, it feels a bit more hoarse. Knowing when it gets a bit more pushy, a bit more hoarse, a bit more kind of tight, that is a great place to start to, rest up a tiny bit and go challenge it again. As you keep stacking this over and over and over, your vocal stamina will definitely improve. And so team, these are basically 4 questions you can be asking yourself. And actually, 5. The first one is, what is that thing that you can consistently do? What's that thing you can consistently put in? I also then shared 4 other sub questions that you can be asking yourself to give yourself a bit of an idea on how long you should be practicing. The first one is, how long can you focus for? The second one is, what are your goals, right? Match your work ethic to your goals. The third one is, what is your lifestyle? What is a amount of practice that if you introduce into your lifestyle, because I get it, some of you are busy, what's a amount of practice that you can introduce that won't introduce a lot of friction? And also, what time of the day would that work for you? Do you need something that's more flexible? Do you need something that's more recurring? That is a great question to be asking yourself. And then the last one is, when do you start to feel a bit more hoarse? When do you start to feel like you're pushing a bit more? When do you start to feel like things get a bit harder? That is another cue for you to start getting a bit of rest. And so team, these are the couple of questions you can be asking yourself if you wanted to self-assess and figure out, how long should I be practicing? Is it too little? Is it too much? The most important thing though that I want to reassure you is, don't feel like you have to do this alone. In today's episode, I have shared some things, but they're definitely more on the general side, which means, it's designed here to give you a bit of an idea, but everyone does have their own circumstances. Everyone is slightly different. And so one of the most important things is find someone who can support you. You don't have to do this alone. And so if you want to improve faster, if you want to fast track your progress and you feel like working with me is a great idea, then check out the link in the description. I'll drop a link on how you can get in contact with me and how you can start working with me. So just check out the description. And apart from that, team, I will see you for our next episode every single Friday. Take care.